How long would Eren Yeager's jail sentence be? Eren Yeager didn't just break the law. He stepped on it, flattened it with a horde of Colossal Titans, and then declared himself free. If the Attack on Titan world actually had a functioning justice system, this guy wouldn't be running around screaming about freedom. He'd be locked up in the deepest dungeon in history, serving billions of life sentences before inevitably getting executed. From war crimes and terrorism to full-blown genocide, Eren's rap sheet is longer than the walls themselves. So today, we're analyzing every single crime he committed and figuring out exactly how long he'd be in prison for. And where better to start than a casual act of mass murder? Number 1. Mass murder and war crimes, 500 plus life sentences. Eren isn't just a guy with a grudge. He's an international terrorist with abs and zero chill. Remember when he invaded Liberio, transformed in the middle of a packed civilian zone, and flattened entire buildings full of innocent people just to lure out the warrior Titans?
Consider this a declaration of war!
This wasn't just an attack. This was a full-scale war crime broadcast to the world. And then there's how he handled Willy Tiber. Instead of a stealthy assassination, Eren waited until the guy was on stage mid-monologue and crushed him like a soda can in front of every major world leader. Subtlety? Never heard of it. The real world equivalent? Think bombing a civilian concert while the UN is watching and then punching the president mid-speech. Thousands of innocents died that day. Children, elders, journalists, and people just trying to live. This wasn't about defense. It was a calculated, unilateral strike designed to cause terror. Eren didn't warn anyone, didn't care who was caught in the crossfire. He just wanted to send a message, and the message was, I'm the villain now. In real life, systematic mass murder of civilians in a foreign country gets you hundreds of life sentences, especially when the attack is unprovoked and targets non-combatants. And considering Eren wiped out entire neighborhoods in just minutes, he already racked up 500 plus life sentences before we even get to the rumbling. And believe it or not, this isn't even his worst crime. Number 2, genocide via the rumbling, billions of life sentences. Eren didn't just start a war, he ended the concept of war by erasing most of humanity. The rumbling is one of the most horrifying acts of mass destruction in anime history. Eren unleashed an unstoppable wall of titans, flattening entire countries, stepping on children, and wiping out billions of people. This is beyond war crimes. This was a full-blown genocide on a planetary scale. It's worse than any crime in human history. In real life, genocide is punishable by execution in almost every country, but Eren didn't just kill a few million, he wiped out 80% of the human population. If he somehow survived being arrested, he'd be given billions of consecutive life sentences, one for every person he stomped out of history. At this point, his prison sentence is longer than the entire history of humanity, but we're still not done. Number 3, treason against the Eldian government, 50 plus years in prison. Before Eren became public enemy number 1 for the entire planet, he was already a wanted criminal in his own country. After returning from Marley, Eren didn't exactly go through the proper channels. Instead, he cut off communication with the military, formed a rogue faction called the Yeagerists, and basically said, I run this island now. And then came the betrayal of his own friends. Eren didn't just turn on the scouts. He beats the crap out of Armin, emotionally destroys Mikasa, and treats the people who risked their lives for him like they're enemies of the state. But this wasn't just bad vibes and a breakup. This was high treason. Eren had access to military intel, was working against the Eldian government, and helped orchestrate a full-blown coup that overthrew the existing leadership.
From this point on, let us refer to these anti-military insurgents as the Yeagerists. I can think of no one better than Commander Hanji to tell us their goal.
In real life, this kind of betrayal would land you a sentence of at least 50 years, or even the death penalty in wartime. But for Eren, it was just one of his master plan. Number 4, assassination of the military high command, life sentence or execution. Eren isn't just a war criminal, he's also a full-blown political assassin. When words didn't get him what he wanted, he resorted to blowing up the government. let's talk about what happened to Premier Zachary. At this point in the story, Eren had been in prison for going rogue in Marley, and the Eldian military was debating what to do with him. Some officials thought that they could still control him, while others wanted him executed immediately. Naturally, Eren was not having that. Rather than wait for a legal decision, his Yeagerist fan club decided to speed up the process by planting a bomb in Premier Zachary's office chair. The result? Boom! Zachary's body parts rained down on the building as his guards looked on in horror. And just like that, Eren and his followers staged a full-on military coup. The moment Zachary's body hit the ground, the Yeagers stormed the city, seized military command, and turned Paradis into their own personal playground. In the real world, assassinating a high-ranking government official like this is one of the worst crimes you can commit. It falls under terrorism, political assassination, and conspiracy against the government, and in almost every country, it's an automatic death sentence. But what makes this even worse is that Zachary wasn't just some corrupt official. He was one of the few people actually trying to maintain order in the country that was already on the verge of collapse. So what did Eren and his group do? They made sure the collapse happened even faster. If this were the real world, Eren would be looking at either a life sentence in maximum security or immediate execution. But at this point, does one more death sentence even make a difference? Because his biggest crime is still coming. Number 5. Kidnapping and brainwashing, 30+ years in prison. Let's talk about what Eren did to Zeke. For years, Zeke thought he and Eren were on the same page. Two brothers teaming up to save the world through Eldian euthanasia. But nope, turns out Eren was lying through his perfect teeth the entire time. Inside the Path's dimension, Eren pulls a complete reversal. He hijacks the Founding Titan's power, shuts Zeke out like a bad Wi-Fi signal, and uses psychological manipulation to sway Ymir, a being who's been mentally in prison for centuries. This isn't just betrayal, it's coercion, psychological abuse, and manipulation on a god-level scale. He didn't just use Zeke, he trapped him in an eternal time loop of memories, forcing him to relive trauma while Eren carried out his genocide plans. In real life, this would fall under kidnapping, coercion, conspiracy, and mental abuse, easily earning 30+ years in prison, especially with how thoroughly he used and discarded his own brother. But at this point, 30 more years is just a drop in a Titan-shaped bucket. Final verdict, how long would Eren's sentence be? Alright, let's total this up. Between mass murder, genocide, treason, political assassinations, and kidnapping, Eren Yeager is looking at 500+ life sentences for war crimes and mass murder, billions of life sentences for global genocide via the rumbling, 50+ years for high treason against Eldia, a life sentence or execution for assassinating Premier Zachary, and 30+ years for kidnapping and brainwashing Zeke. Total sentence, billions of life sentences or immediate execution. At this point, Eren wouldn't even be given a trial. He'd be executed on sight. Yeah, Eren Yeager isn't just getting arrested. He's getting erased from history, locked in the past dimension for eternity, and left to reflect on his Titan-sized list of crimes. And if you think this is bad, wait until we analyze Zeke's war crimes. Click the next video to see just how doomed these anime villains really are. Thanks for watching.